Okay, so I have opened an Excel. I have opened an Excel worksheet, and you can see the first thing it does is that it names the sheets over here. Like this is sheet 1. If I want to add another sheet, I can add over here. So I can click on that add or plus icon, and it adds sheet 2 all the way to the various many sheets that it can add. If I want to rename these sheets, I just double click on the sheet and name it, for example, A. Let's say I want to name this as sheet A and this as B. This will be C and so forth. I can alternatively right click on that sheet if I want to rename it, insert another one, delete, move or copy, or even get the tab color. For example, let's say I want to get the tab color of this worksheet to blue. You can see it has already shown that blue. If I want this one to be another color, I just right click and go to the color that I want, or the color of my choice. That is red. Then if I want also this tab color to be, let's say, purple, I can just click on that and it becomes the purple color. Then the first one, maybe we want it to be, the tab color we want is this green. So that is how you can decide what color you want your Excel to have. And that's the tab color for the worksheet. And also how you can name or rename your worksheets. I can see somebody has raised up their hand. You are concerned, sir? Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question. Hello? Somebody, is it Boroke? Somebody has raised up their hand? Or is it also by mistake? Yeah, so as I said, we are starting it off as if you don't know anything as we advance. So I've said this is how you start out the worksheets. This is how you rename them. And let me mute everybody. Okay. So this is how you rename the worksheets, as we said, and this is how you add them. So whatever we have formed now is called a workbook. The many worksheets that we have done over here join together to form what we call a workbook in Excel. Now, another important concept as a basic that you need to understand is how we name these cells. Now, whatever I have here is a cell. This is a cell. This is another cell. Whenever I tab, those are cells in Excel. And the first one here, you can see these are cell which we have. A cell is usually named using the column and the row. So we usually name that cell based on the column and the row. Now, all the columns are named using the alphabet letters, like this column A, column B, column C, and you can see the columns go all the way. There are as many as you cannot finalize in carrying out any activity that you are carrying out. You can see I'm already at column, is that OU, and I'm not yet done. So the columns are too many. The same case applies with the rows. Now, the columns we have said are named. So columns are named using letters of the alphabet. But now for the rows, they are named using the numbers. Like you can see this row 1, row 2, row 3, and so forth. And the rows also in one worksheet are too many, thousands of thousands. You can see I've moved to the last row here, which is that is 1,048,576 rows. So that's the number of rows that we have. For the number of columns, if I move to the furthest column, we can be able to know the number of columns that we have. So there are so many of them. Now, having said that, I need to move home. Now, then how do we name the cells? Because we have said this is a cell. The cells are named using what we call, first of all, the column number, then the row number. For example, when I click here, you can see here it's telling me the name of the cell. I can be able to know the name of the cell over here. So this is called cell name box, or you can see it's called the name box over here. And this tells me the cell here is cell A1. If I move this way, this is cell B1. Then cell C1. When I come to this one, this is cell H5. This is cell O9. So the cells are named using the letters of the alphabet. Then we also have, okay, the cells are named using the column and the row number. And then we have another thing that you need to understand over here is what we call cell ranges. Now, assuming I have got data over here that is starting from here, let's say 1, 2, 3. Then we have 4 over here, 5, and 6. This is a range. Now, how do we name this range? Because you can see this is a range of cells starting from cell A1 through cell A6. So this range over here, we are going to name it as range A1 through, and when we talk about through, we use a full colon to mean through. And we look at the lower side, the lower right of the range. This is cell C2. So this is going to be A1 through cell C2. So our range name is going to be A1 through C2. So that is how you name a cell range like this one. Maybe I want, yes?
Can you repeat there? I'm not getting.
Oh, yes. Who is this?
Abdullahi.
Oh, good, Abdullahi, welcome. I'm saying that for the cell, we have said, first of all, every cell is named using the column and the row. The rows, we have said, are named using the numbers 1, 2, 3, all the way. And the columns are named using the letters. So then, this cell over here is cell A1, and you can see the name of the cell over here. So this is called the name box. Then this is cell B2. Now the range is a group of cells. And here I have a group of cells running from A1 all the way to C2. Now what I've said is that when you're naming a range of cells, what you use is the name of the cell on the top left, in this case is A1. and the name of the cell on the bottom right, which is 6 in this case, and the cell is C2. So then you're going to say that the range of cells I have over here is A1 through C2. Let me see what somebody is saying on the chat box. Aha. Now, somebody is asking me to repeat on how to raise the hand. Now, Elizabeth, what you do in order to raise the hand on Zoom, you can check on the various icons you have there, from mute to stop video, all the way to after remote control, there's something called more. So if you click on the more icon, it will give you more details on whether you want to chat, whether you want to raise a hand, and so forth. You can try that and let me know if you are capable of doing it. Abdrai, I hope you are answered, and anybody else maybe who needed to understand on the naming of the cell ranges.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Good. So that's how you name the cell ranges. And right away, I want to have another name range. And in this case, I just want to create random numbers over here. I want to create random numbers over here. I'll show you how to create random numbers later. Somebody may wonder what I'm doing with the creation of random numbers. So now I have random numbers that I've created over here. And I want somebody to help me on how we are going to name this cell range. A volunteer can tell us how you're going to name this cell range.
K4.
Yes, hello. Hello.
K4 and 13.
I can see from Ronald K4 and 13. Then I can see Wycliffe K4 and 13. I can see from Tina K4 and 13. Grace K4 and 13. That's great. And who was speaking?
Samuel.
Samuel, thank you. You've said K4 and 13. Samuel, K4 and 13 that you've spoken is not the one that you've written. Now, we said you're going to say K4 through N13. And the through means that you must put the full colon, isn't it? Yeah, so quite a number of you have done it correctly. But for those who have not included the full colon, because we said for you to say, you said K4. Said K4. Yeah, so K4 through N13. And when I highlight the whole of that, it even tells you how you're going to name it. You can see it starting from 4 over here. It already highlighted here. If I remove, you can see it is not highlighting on my far left. You can see where the row numbers are shown. When I highlight the whole of it, it shows me it's starting from 4 and ending at 13. So to check yes. You kindly unmute yourself every time you have you mute yourself every time that you have finished talking to avoid the background noise. Now, I've said that if you can see, when I highlight the whole of that range, it shows me on this side over here that the row is starting from 4 and ending at 13. So yours is just to choose which is the top left, what is the top left cell? K, then 4. What is my bottom right cell? This is K, that's N13. So you say K4 through, so we can just name it here again, K4 through N13. Aha, that's good. Let me see what the new charts are doing. Oh yeah, Janet is asking if you are writing notes. Okay, this is an introductory class, but if you wish that you want to take a few notes on the same, there is no problem. And whatever we are recording, you can, yeah, you can take notes, because this is what is going to help you in future reference, I think. Anytime you want to do something and you can't really remember exactly what the teacher said, I guess it will be very helpful to do it. Oh, Janet is asking how I have created the random numbers. Janet, don't worry. This is what you're going to do in our future discussions, but because of the question you've asked, I can just decide to create other random numbers over here. So let me delete the random numbers I have over here by right-clicking and saying clear contents. I hope that is also something you are learning. I can say Control Z to undo what I've done. And then I can now right-click and clear contents so that I can remove everything that is in that content. Now, what I do in order to create random numbers is to say equals to rand. Rand means random. So if I say equals to rand, I can click on that and then say enter. You can see it has already created random numbers. Mine is now to flash fill. We'll learn about flash fill also later, but to flash fill means you want just to replicate what is here to other cells. So I just bring my cursor to the top, to the bottom left, to the bottom right over here, until it shows what you call the black plus. And the black plus means a flash fill icon, which if I drag down now, it will replicate my random numbers. And if I want to drag them across, I can still do this and it will replicate them to the many cells that are inside there. So when you want to do, or you want to come up with random numbers, and there are many instances that you may find that it's easy for you to come up with random numbers, it's this way you do it. Now, assuming that you want to come up with random numbers, though that is now going deeper, but because you've asked, I would like to expound on it. Assuming that you want to come up with random numbers, and these random numbers you want should be something like ID numbers, or how many digits does an ID number have? Let's say the modern ID number.
Like 9.
9 of them.
Yes.
Someone can also tell us. 8. I can see so many of you have said 8. Thank you very much. So now, assuming that we want to create an 8-digit number that is random, and this 8-digit number is maybe ID numbers for some citizens. Now, when you want to create the ID numbers, you don't use rand peke yake. You now say equals to rand, and you choose the rand between formula. And when you click on the rand between formula, it will ask you to provide either the bottom line and the top numbers that you want to include in your list. Now, assuming that the numbers have now reached 32,000, let's say 30, the list we want here is, you said 8 of them. So let's say the lowest we want is 30, 20, 60, 50. Those are 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the lowest number. And the highest number we want is 56, 55, or 52, 25, 63. These are also 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have inserted there, and you can see the formula shows me I should insert the bottom digit and also the top digit. And once I've done that, I just say enter. I just say enter, and it will automatically bring me 8-digit values, which have been randomly selected and which are meeting our criteria. It must be between 30, 20, something to 50, we said 56. So you can see these are 8-digit numbers for the ID numbers, or assuming that Safaricom wanted to create the scratch card numbers, they're about 16 or 14 digits. This is how they create them, using the random numbers, so that none of these can be following the other, and you cannot predict which is the next number. You cannot predict which is the next number. So this is how you create random numbers, and you specify your random numbers should be between what and what, like we have specified over here. So maybe from your end, can somebody try to do that and tell us if they are able to do it? Because we said this is going to be a practical session. I want to allow one of you to share their screen to show us if they have been able to do this. Create a random number and also create the random number between. But one will create a random number and the other one will create a random number between. I'm trying to help somebody share the screen. Who is the volunteer that is going to share the screen and help us do that?
Why don't you do another example?
Or you want me to do another example before you do?
Yes.
There could be somebody who can be able to do it. So I want just, I've allowed somebody to share their screen, and also want to understand if somebody understood how to share the screen. So Grace, are you able to share your screen and help us do something? Grace, how are you? Or Wycliffe wants to do it. Wycliffe, go ahead. I have allowed. You click on the icon share screen, and then you share the screen. You make sure that your Excel is open so that you click on that Excel workbook that you want to share with us. Wycliffe, how long can you take? Yeah, you know, we need in the first class to at least understand that somebody has known how to share the screen. Oh yeah, you can see Omweno is saying they can't see the icon share the screen. Now, the icon share the screen, Omweno, is on your screen, the bottom of your, at the bottom of your screen, where you can see mute, stop video, and other icons over there. One of them is new share, or yeah, share screen or new share, which has got an arrow and it's a green icon. Somebody try quickly so that you can see if you can. Oh yeah, Wycliffe has told me he can't share because the other participant is sharing. So let me allow multiple share. Okay, I can stop sharing Wycliffe so that you can share. But later on, I'll share in multiple sharing. Yeah, Wycliffe, go ahead. Aha, good. Oh, you already created a sum, huh? You can, we said you can remove the data that you have created. I am checking where. Wycliffe, you can unmute yourself. Wycliffe. Okay. So Wycliffe, go ahead and show us how you can do the. Good. I can see you have removed the data that was there. Wycliffe, teachers don't do things without speaking. You have to be talking as you share. Wycliffe. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Now the first process, you click on the cell. For example, this cell here, G6,
Yes.
is equal. Then you click R. It brings the degrees there. You can choose the rand.
Yeah, rand means random. And you can see it explains to you. It returns a random number. Before you even click, you can go to the explanation so that somebody can see it. The formula usually gives you some information about what it's used for.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Then you enter.
Yes.
It creates a random number.
Oh, yes.
Then you can drag this one down like this, maybe there.
Oh, yes.
Then you drag this side also, for example, like that. Is that okay?
Good. Yeah, thank you. I can see at least you've learned something in the introductory lesson.
Yes, yeah.
Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, fine.
Good. Nice. Now I want somebody else to help us now do the rand between. Volunteer quickly. Wycliffe, you have to unshare your screen now to enable the other to share. Who is going to be the next volunteer? Yeah, and as we said, kindly ensure that you have muted yourself. Samuel, you've already started to share? Samuel, you've taken us too fast. Samuel? Good. So you say rand, you choose rand between. And you specify now the bottom number and the top number. Yeah. Perfect. Wycliffe, you've tried it. Somebody's asking what we are doing. We are trying to do something that we were looking at on random number generation, and somebody wanted to know more about how they are generated. So Samuel, thank you very much. You can unshare your screen now. At least now you know how to do the random numbers. Let me now share my screen. So then, having said that, we now need to look at what the Excel contains and how can it be of help to us. Now, Excel, and the version I'm using is 2016, is usually arranged starting from tabs to groups. Now, on the top left, let me admit your friends. Yeah, on the top left of our Excel is what we call the File tab. And if you click on the File tab, it helps you to do a number of things, which we call the backstage work. So let me click on it and see what it gives us. So it gives us quite a number of options to do. One of them is info. And in info, it's where you can do protection of your workbook or even manage your workbook. For example, if we want to protect this workbook, we can click on info, that's file, then info, and then say protect the workbook. And once you've said so, you can either mark it as final to alert the reader that it's final and it should be read only. But still, if the reader wants to go ahead and edit, even after having been warned that it is a final read-only document, they can still go ahead. So to avoid that, then you can encrypt it with a password. So you click encrypt with a password. And once you encrypt with a password, you can enter your password over here and click OK. So let's say in this case, we want to create a password. 1, 2, 3, 4, and say OK. Once you've created that password, you have to repeat it. We have said this 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see it cautions you, and therefore you must ensure that you don't forget the password, because you can see here, it tells you that if you lose or forget the password, it cannot be recovered. So it's advisable you keep a list of your passwords and their corresponding documents and names in safe places. And remember that the passwords are case sensitive. So you must, whenever you create a password, if you are that person who usually easily forgets about it, you make sure that the password is somewhere where you can reach it. So once you've created that password and said, okay, you can see it already tells us now a password is required to open this workbook. So for you to open that workbook, you need a password. If you still want to remove it because you're the one who is you're the one who has created the password, you can still unprotect it. But still, in this case, let's say we want to leave it at that and continue with our discussion. So that's how you create a password, and somebody can only open that workbook if they have a password. Now, here also in the File tab, you can create a new worksheet or blank workbook. Once you create that, it's either you create a blank workbook and start from square one to deal with it, like we have done in this case. We have now a blank workbook over here that we can work on. Or still, if we go to open new, we can take a tour of the Excel. We can get started with formulas to understand some of the formulas that we need to understand. We can make our pivot tables over here. We can get more about the pivot tables. We can do charts like pie charts and the rest. You can do a personal budget. And again, the other important thing about the Excel is that it can give you the groups of whatever you want. If you want something to deal with business, you can click here. These are templates. You can click here on templates so that it can give you whatever you want that deals with business. Is it an invoice? Is it a balance sheet? Is it an inventory list? Is it a weekly time record? Is it a small business profit and loss statement? And whatever else that you want. It can give you that you want to obtain from the Excel. Just checking what somebody is saying on the chat box and misbehaving, but I'll get it. So it can give you whatever you want. Is it letters? Is it presentations? Is it business cards, brochures, and so forth? To make your work easy, it's more easier to edit something than to begin from scratch doing it. So if you want, for example, something to deal with a business card and you click it, you can see it can take you to Publisher if you want it in PowerPoint. Or if you want it in Excel, it will take you to Excel or Word. So here, if I click the business card that I want, you can see it is now opening the business card. From Excel, you're going to PowerPoint or even to Publisher. That's the beauty of it, that you can have, and you have thousands and thousands of templates that you can work with. So you can just now edit this one as you want it to be edited or as you want it to look like, and you'll have your business card without starting from scratch to make one. So let's not do that. Once you've done that, you can, again, if you want personal ones, like you want a personal budget, you want to have a seasonal photo calendar, if you want to have like a loan calculator, if you have a loan, personal expenses calculator, if you want to have a household monthly budget, personal monthly budget, weekly chore schedule that you can track your chores that you're going to do on a weekly basis, and even more like books you want to come up with, you want to do like things to deal with graduation. You can see if I click here, it gives us details about what can you get in graduations, like live celebration graduation, graduation photo album, end of year photo album, and so forth. And again, if you want even more, you can have like okay, sorry, I to know that you cannot see what I'm doing. Okay, so here is where we are. So we've said that once you've created this one, you say new, you have templates over here. And the templates include a blank workbook and so many others. It can be business, personal, planners and trackers, lists, like an inventory list, for example. If I click on that, let's see what it's going to show us. Yeah, you can see it shows us weekly chore schedule list, weekly attendance report, inventory list with the highlighting, bill paying checklist, those bills that you need to pay, household to-do lists, small business contact lists, service price lists. So if you want to do that price list, you don't have to start from scratch. You just click on that service price list and edit it to your requirements. Like you can do what is the name of service one, what is the type of that service, what's the description, and how much do you charge. Or even you can even change it from a service list to a product price list by deleting that and call it a product price list. You can edit by providing your company details over here, so that if a customer wants they want this price list as soon as now, you don't have to start from scratch. You just come here and edit it, and automatically it is ready for sharing. Again, the beauty is that you can still, once you edit it, you can also have more of this. You can have more. Let me just not save it. So you can have more of this. If you want any more, Maura, I can see your hand up. Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
I wanted to tell you that we could not see the screen, but now we can see.
Good. It's now you can see it.
Yeah, now we can see it.
So, when I clicked this one to edit it, you couldn't see it, right?
Yes.
Good. Sorry. I then have known that once I've clicked it, like I was clicking this price list and I was saying you can edit it, okay? So once I've clicked it, I need to reshare it so that you can see. Let it open. Let it open. Yeah, as it opens, if somebody has a question or a clarification they would want to know, because this one basically is taking you through the many things you can do with Excel. I know you may not have gone through all this to know that it can help you to do something. It has almost everything that you want to do, and that you need not to start from scratch. It's only that you need to make some edits and have it up and running. Assuming that your boss wanted something and they wanted it now, you don't have to burn your fingers wondering how I'm going to do, for example, the price list, because the client wants that price list. I hope you can now see the service price list. So here you can come and change it and call it product. You can change it and call it product price list. You can come here and give the name of your company. Let's say it's ABC Limited. You can include the details of that company, and you can edit anything else over here, the price list, and then share with the client. Very fast, but you can still change even the background colors so that they don't have to be the same colors that you have over here. Then let me share the screen again from the other side so that you can continue on whatever else that you can do with Excel. Now, on the open still, we said you click on the file tab and click open, I mean new. On the new, you can, again, if you don't find anything here that you want, maybe somebody can tell me something they want to use and they can't see it anywhere here and they want to find it. You can now get it from online. There are many online templates, including even those that are here that are just samples. There are many of them that you can now find online as templates. Maybe somebody can tell me what they would want to have. Yes, let me see, somebody has said. The chat box. Okay, maybe somebody can unmute themselves and tell me.
The timetable.
Oh, you want a timetable for? Or you want any timetable? Okay, let me just say timetable. Is it usually one word? Okay. So once I click once I type timetable and click the search button, you can see it giving me student schedule, project timeline, weekly timesheet, and so forth. So if you wanted to create that timetable, you click this one and it tells you we are downloading your timetable. So if you want to create now, you want to create that student timetable, it has already downloaded. I remember that you told me once it downloads, you don't usually see it. Can you see it now? Good. So assuming that you are the head of academics and you wanted to do a timetable quickly, you don't have to start with Excel from scratch doing the timetable. You can see it's already given you the timetable here, having dates from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if you want to edit them, you just edit the classes you want to have at that time. And you can see it telling you if you want to edit it, you can change whatever you want to change. It also has a class list on the other end. And you can see the class list is telling you that public speaking, for example, which is class SP111, is on Monday. Building B, starting time is 4 p.m. and end time is 5 p.m. Just imagine as it is, the only thing you need to change is maybe the building and the class name and the ID of the class, the start and end time, because it's already a timetable that you can just do and you're off without necessarily starting from scratch. That is the beauty of it, and many other templates that you may want. So then, having said that, I want to continue taking you through the Excel tabs. And we are already on file, and you can see on file we have done quite a number of things. Now, if you want to do open, the next item or option you have here is open. And the open one is going to ask you to share or to open whatever recently used files you had. You can see these are my recently used files over here. So you can click and open any one of them. And if you want to pin it to the pinned list, when you pin it to the pinned list, it becomes easy for you to obtain it later on. You just click on pin, and you can see it has been added to pinned list by just clicking on this. So you say, click that, and it takes it to the what you call the pinned list. which is a list that you can obtain easily whenever you want. Now, the save one is giving you just an option to save it as you may want, but the one I want to dwell on is the save as, whereby you can click save as, and then you browse where you want to save it. And once you browse it, you have options here. Number one is the option of how you want to save it. So let's say here we want to save it as advanced Excel tutorial. So you can save it as an advanced Excel tutorial. And you have options over here on how you want to save it. In what format do you want to save it? Is it an Excel macro-enabled workbook? And so many others. Do you want to save it as a CSV? That's a comma-separated file. Do you want to save it as a PDF? And many other formats that you'd want to save it as. Is it an Excel template? And so forth. So it's you to choose. And in this case, I want us to save it as an Excel workbook. Once you choose that, you then, it's important you choose where you want to save it. And in this case, for me, I want to save it on the desktop. So I'll say advanced Excel tutorial and save it on the desktop. So once that has happened, the next one I want us to see is print. The info has even the print option. If you want to print a document, you just click on the print option. Now, for me to print, it must have some data. So let me just add some data again randomly. As we said, you remember how to do the random one. So I say equals to random and equals to rand equals to rand. So I want to have some data over here. Would like the data to be over here, the whole of that, and maybe say I want to print. Oh, sorry, I don't want to use the want to print Control P, because these are shortcuts we're going to learn later. I want to go to File, Tab, and click Print. So once I've done that, you can see it is giving me options on how to print, and I can choose the printer. From the list, I can choose the printer that is available for printing, and then I can print. But before you print, you must make sure that your document is as you want it to be. One of the things is, do you want to print all the pages in the range? If that's the case, you leave it as it is. But if you want to print quite a number of pages, not all the pages that are in the range, I hope somebody can see my screen. Let me share where I am. So if you want to print, then you must first of all understand how you want it printed. Is it print one-sided, or do you want to print it two-sided? This is how you do it here. So if you want it two-sided, you click on this and choose which of these do you want it to be printed. Is it print on both sides, on short edge, on long edge, or is it on one-sided? Let's say in this case, we want to leave it one-sided. What is the orientation you want it to have? Here you can choose either the portrait, which is currently the one that is in use, or you choose the landscape. So if you choose the landscape, you can see it changing. Then you can choose whether you want to print it in letter or any other format. If you click on this, it gives you the format you want to print it. And in this case, usually if it's a document like this, you'd like to print it in A4. So you click A4. Of course, you can leave normal margins. And then page scaling is the one that helps you so that your columns and rows do not, if you want them to fit to one page, they do not go to the other page once you've printed. So here you click and say whether you want to fit the sheet on one page, whether you want to fit all columns on one page. You click yes, you want to fit them on all of them on one page. or whether you want to fit all the rows on one page. So all the rows will come into one page, but of course that is if they can fit there, and if they can't fit, there are some that must go to the next page. But if they can fit, the better it will be here. Something else, you can see when it's landscape over here, my worksheet looks like it's going to print my data, much of it being on my left side. Now, how can I deal with this so that it fits not just on the left side? I can go to something called page setup. You can see here, there's page setup down over here, which I can click on. And once I click on the page setup, I can do quite a number of things over there. One of them is the page. I can select whether I want to print it 100% or less than that. So if I say 145%, you can see what's going to happen. You can see it increases the font that is going to be printed out. And I think this one is now clearer, somebody can see. Especially this is when we are printing the chi-square and the other data that is used in statistics. Then still on the page setup, I can deal with the margins and see if I still want them normal as they are or I want to change them. There are still more options there to choose from on how I want to deal with this. And then I can still add a header or footer. Suppose I want every page of my document to have a header like ABC Limited sales analysis for the month of Jan 2020. I have like 25 worksheets and I don't want them to have any problem in terms of somebody cannot know what it relates to. So I'll come here and say, I want to have a header, and this header is going to be a custom header, and I want it to be at the center, and I'll say this is ABC Limited, ABC Limited sales analysis for Jan 2020, for example, and I click OK. Once I've done that, I then say OK, and you can see my header is over there. So if I had like 2-3 pages, the header will remain there for every one of the pages. And then something else is that if I want my data to have some borders, I can go to Sheet. And here I can choose a number of things, but in this case, I want to choose the grid lines. So if I check the grid lines box and click OK, you can see what happens is that my data now has grid lines so that it's going to be printed on those grid lines. Now, once I've done that, I can see my data is not really that organized in terms of leaving a lot of space to the right. Before I print now, because I can do the print preview, like I've done, I can go back to my data and try to organize it in a way that I want to ensure that the data is fitting to the page. I want it to fit to the page. I can do this by checking. You can see there's a dotted line over here, which shows whether the data has or is fitting to the page or not. So let me undo so that you can see what was there before. Now, what was here before is that you can see this space is left over here because it's going to print up to here. This is where my page ends, but it has left space, and that's why when I try to print, let's say Control P, that's why it's leaving a lot of space to the right. So to remove that space, I can just come and maybe even decide to increase the font of this. And to increase the font is just easy. You highlight the whole of it and click on this. This is how you increase the font size. You can increase by clicking on that. If you want to reduce the font size, you click on this. So increasing it that way. And once I've done that, I can even also move it this way and try to move, maybe that way it's better now. So if I try to print now, you can see it's at least fitting to the page, but I don't want that space over here, which is too big. So what I do is I can decide to move this one better also, because I can see it's not fitting over here. Yeah, so that way, and then now move this. And I can once of all, having done that, move just a little bit. Now I can see this font is bigger. So what I do is I can reduce the font first of all. Once I've reduced the font just a bit, and then I can click over here so that it now fits. And every one of these columns and rows is going to have the same size. Now you can see my data is fitting very well to the page, and it's something presentable. If I wanted to share it with my boss or somebody else, they can see that indeed I have done a good job and the data is looking well presented than it was at the beginning. Or don't you think so? I can see somebody making some comment on the chat box. Hello. Okay, so then having said that, at least you know how to go about the printing and so forth. We shall maybe revisit, because it's not a one-day thing. The next thing I want you to know is that, okay, you can decide how many copies you want to print. Like here, let's say you want 10 copies. We can put the number of copies we want over there and so forth. Then you can also share. You can decide to share this, and you can share with people. You can save to cloud. If you want to save it, for example, on your Google Drive or OneDrive, you can share it there. You can share on mail that document so that you can send it. You can see, you can send as attachment, you can send as PDF, you can send as XPS, and so forth. So here, this is how you share that document to mail. If you don't want to print it, you want just to share it on mail with somebody. You can also as well export it, and you can export it as the file type that you want. Here you can choose from this what file type you want. Is it a workbook? Is it an Excel 97 to 2003 workbook? Remember, I'm working on Excel 2016, but maybe I want it to be Excel 97 to 203 so that it's compatible with another computer that has got an Excel of that version. So I can save it as Excel 97 to 2003, yet I'm using Excel 2016 or 2018. Then template, do you want to save it as a binary workbook or a CSV, and so forth. Then, do you want to publish it? Do you want to close it? Or do you want more options? I hope you can see my screen on more options now. I usually want to be stopping sharing, then I share so that everybody can see that. Yeah, so I'm on more options. And on the more options, what you need to learn on the more options is that you now have so many options that you can work on over here. Like the options start from general. Oh yeah, Janet, I'll revisit the printing process. I was just taking you through a few things that are in the Excel. No worries. The process of the printing, I'll take you through again. Thank you for your concern. So the other process now is more options that I want you to see. Under more options, you have general options, whereby you can change quite a number of things, like what theme do you want your screen to have? You can see I'm here at personalize your copy of Microsoft Office. Like now, if you want every document that you have authored, or even a document that you have reviewed, to have your name, who reviewed, instead of it showing Lenovo or HP reviewed, HP commented, you want it to show your name. Somebody saying sound, please. You can't hear me. Is that Oppo A1K? You can't hear me? Oh, somebody's saying sound. Anyone else who can't hear me? Eva says she can hear me. Sheila, you also say you can hear me. Thank you. That means maybe those who can't hear me, probably it is from your end. So I'm on the options section of the file tab. And you can see on the options tab, or on the options part of the file tab, you have got quite a number of things you can do. And one of these that I want you to know is how you can rename it. Like say here, mine is named as Sam. If you wanted to have it a different name, this is where you edit and have it that name that you want. And this is going to show in all documents that you're the one who authored it. Maybe if you are the author, if you are the one who commented, like I'll show you briefly when I comment on this document, how it's going to show my name. So let's, for example, first of all, leave it without any name and say, okay. So if I come here to make a comment, I'll right click. And once I right click, I hope you can see my screen. I'll come over here and right click and say,
Malawi, your cursor keeps hanging, so sometimes you don't know what you're right clicking. Your cursor keeps hanging.
oh, sorry. So you can see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So then here I am. I want to add a comment over here on the cell H2. So I'll right click. And once I have right clicked, I'll say insert comment. And you can see once I say insert comment, it's saying whoever is inserting comment is Samson, because it's already indicated that Samson is the one who is the owner of this laptop, instead of it having shown HP for those who have not named it properly. So to do that, then we can go to File, Options, and we go to General and change. You can see when I removed Sam, it became Samson. So if I change this to HP, maybe, let's say it's HP. And once I change it to HP, I'll come here and make a comment. And you can see it's now changing it to HP. It's HP making the comment, not Samson. So then that is how you name it, so that it can show whoever is making the comment. And that's very important, because there could be many reviewers who are reviewing a file, and you would want to see who made which comment. And there could be many people who have HP. And then what's the theme of the machine that you want? Do you want it colorful? And I know ladies would want the colorful one. Do you want it dark gray? Or do you want it as white? That is the theme of the sign into Office, or the theme to your machine, and many. Now, what about formulas? I want to click on this formulas area. Now, on the formulas area, you can choose whether you want your formulas to be automatic or manual. Now, let me show you something. You remember we were doing something on random numbers. Like over here, this what we have over here is random numbers. And if you can see, whenever I try to click anywhere on the screen, because they are random numbers and my formula tab is automatic, you can see the screen showing that the numbers are changing. You can see the screen showing the numbers are changing. So that is to mean it's in automatic mode. If I go to my file on options and go to formulas and say I want the formulas to be manual, say that the formulas I want them to be manual. I hope you can see that. Galaxy tab, we shall revisit on the how you obtain the random numbers. Don't worry, we shall revisit. We said you use a formula called equal to rand. Rand is random. And once you enter, you say equal to rand and enter, it gives you the formula. I mean the random number. I'll show you just in a while, but don't worry, we shall revisit it also. So once you've done this, you can see it has been changing, but I've now clicked to say manual. I want it to be manual. And if I say okay, and come here and do whatever I was doing over here, you can see it does not now change anything over here. The numbers do not change because I have changed it to manual. But it's always advisable that unless it's a workbook that it's macro enabled and you don't want it to be changing a lot, it is advisable that you leave it at automatic. So you say automatic and say okay. Good. So that is it. We go to something else in a bit. So here, whoever was asking how you get the random numbers, we said you say equals to, and you say rand. Once you say rand, and you say enter, it will give you the random numbers. You can see it gives us quite a number of random numbers over here. So it say equals to rand. Then something else, and options, if you can see my screen, is that under the options, you can also do proofing. Like you want it to have, for example, autocorrect options, whereby if you have maybe made a mistake in spelling, it can automatically correct it. It can correct two initial capitals. It can capitalize first letter of sentences. It can capitalize names of days. You can see it's automatic. I have put it that way. It can correct accidental use of caps lock key. It can replace text as you type. So that, for example, if you mistakenly type a capital letter in between a name, it's going to automatically change it because it knows that you have maybe accidentally done that and you don't want to have a capital letter in the middle of a word. So then done on auto, you want to know how the automatic thing works. Here on formulas, if I say automatic, I said, let me say I've ticked on automatic over here on the formulas, automatic. And once I've done that, if I come over here and say 0, you see it changes. Because whenever I tap on the worksheet, it will change the numbers because it is automatic. But if I come over here and go to the file, then options, and say I want it to be manual, so I'll click on manual and say okay. Whenever I try to change anything here, it cannot change because it is manual. So then I'll go to the options and take it back to the automatic options. Then another thing, you can change the language if you want. Very important. you can have the quick access bar, toolbar. Then you can also customize your ribbon. I've clicked on customizing the ribbon. You can see what I've done, customize the ribbon. Now, the ribbon is what you have here on top, over here. This is the ribbon. Now you can decide to customize it so that it has those things that you use more often than not. For example, if you use, let me add something that you use more often than not, probably, you want to be using charts. So I can add charts. I click on the charts on this end and say add. Then I can maybe add another one, like the one for freezing panes. Let's see if it can accept. It wants grouping. Now, if I do, for example, the save one is already added. Save as is already, I have not chosen where it's going to. So once you add it, like if you can see on my screen, first of all, over here, I have added the print preview so that every time I want to preview the document I have, this one I added it. So I just click on print preview and it automatically previews my data before I print it. Aha. Emily, you're saying sound has gotten lost from your end? Or is it from my end? Kindly check. You can let me know if you have a sound issue, maybe emanating from my end. Yeah, so on the options, I've talked about to customize the ribbon is to add whatever you want to be added on this ribbon over here. Oh, sorry, Emily, sound, you've lost sound from your end. Sorry for that. But I think you can now hear me. Now, there's something else that you can do. You can make add-ins to your data in Excel, and you can also do the Trust Center. Now, at the Trust Center, this is where you enable your macros. Let me go to Trust Center, especially those people who have tried to file, with KRA, maybe individual or company returns. When you open it, it tells you it seems macros are not enabled. You need to do this in order to enable your macros. Now, this is what you need to do. You go to Trust Center under the file, then options. You go to Trust Center, then you go to Trust Center settings. And from Trust Center settings, you will then go to macro settings, and then you click enable all macros. Once you've clicked enable macros, it will now allow you to fill in the data in that Excel workbook for KRA, for example, or any other macro enabled document. And therefore, it can now enable you to file your returns. So I've said you go to file options, you then go to Trust Center, then you go to Trust Center settings, and then from Trust Center settings, you go to macro settings and click enable macros. Just taking you through the Excel to understand how you can do and where you can do a number of things. So we are done with the file tab. We are done with the file tab. Now we have the insert tab, or we have the home tab, which is the one that carries most of the things that you use or the tools you use more often. The home tab is the tab that you use, or it contains the tools that you use more oftenly. Like it has got groups, the clipboard groups for doing a number of things like cutting, copying, or format painting. And for example, to understand about the format painting, let's say you want to bold this. to bold is Control B. And I want the next adjacent or the adjacent cells to be bolded also. So I can come and highlight on whatever I want to be formatted as and click on Format Paint. And then I'll do this. So you can see this is a format painter that is on the clipboard. We have got the fonts group where you can change the fonts, and like you can change from Caribly light, you can have Algerian, you can have Arial black, you can have Arial narrow, and whichever that you want to use. This is where you choose it from. And you can choose the font size from here. Or you can even insert if you want, for example, 10.5. You can insert it here by typing. And then we have on the Home tab also what we call the alignment group. And in the alignment group is where you can do, for example, something called wrap text or match and center, which we shall learn when we are going to discuss later. Then we have got the numbers group. We have the styles group. We have the cells group. And we have the editing group, where you can clear something, you can fill, you can auto sum, you can sort and filter, you can find and select, and so forth. Like the numbers group, for example, if you want to select, usually the general is the automatic one over here, if you can see. But you can choose from the numbers group, what format do you want to have the data? Is it number? Is it currency? Is it accounting? Is it short date or long date? Is it time? Do you want to use a percentage, fraction, or scientific? And many more that you can choose from. And you shall learn and understand that it's very important to know how to deal with this. Then you have styles group, which has conditional formatting, which is a very important tool in Excel that we shall also learn about. We have the format as table and cell styles. We have the cells group, which has insert, delete, and format, which we shall learn later. I'm just taking you through the Excel and what it contains. If you want to insert anything, you click on the Insert tab, and this will give you the tables group where you can insert tables from the pivot tables to other tables. You can insert, we have the illustrations group from where you can insert pictures, both from online or even from your machine, if you want to include them in some document. You have the add-ins group. There's the charts group, which is also a very important area, whereby you can choose the charts that you want to choose or you want to use in terms of presentation of your data. So you can choose the form of data or the chart that you want to use. Is it a pivot? Is it a bar chart? Is it a line graph? And the many more. We shall look at this in detail later on. And then we have got the sparklines group. We have the tours group. We have the slicers or the filters group, which are slicers and timeline. We have the links group, which is also very important. The links group helps you to do a hyperlink. And a hyperlink means, for example, you want to support some document here, like an invoice that is relating to this amount. So you'll come over here and say you want to insert a hyperlink. So you can insert a hyperlink and bring that, for example, PDF document that you want inserted over there. Let me say, for example, I want to choose from here a PDF document that I want to have inserted over here, so that whoever is going to review can be able to see it and use it. So let's say this is the one that I want to have there. So once I say insert a hyperlink, if I click the hyperlink, it will open that document. You can see it's opening that document. So the reviewer can be able to see, if, for example, you're doing an audit, the reviewer can be able to see whatever that you have put there as your supporting document. even as it opens, we can proceed. Now, we have a page layout tab over here, and the page layout tab is the one that is going to assist you in terms of themes group. It's going to assist you in terms of just a moment. Let me see what somebody's saying over here. Oh, you can see that document. You know, whenever a new document is opened, it usually wants you to share the screen of that document that has been opened. But this is the document. That's the PDF document that we have created a hyperlink of. Yeah, this is just good. This is just a go through or a run through that we are doing, because we will do thorough work later on. So then you've seen how to do a hyperlink that is under the page layout. We can do margins. That is the page setup group, whereby you have the margins, you have the orientation, you have the size, and you have the print area setup. We shall see the print area setup, how you set it up, because it's also a very important area. Then we have the scale to fit group, the sheet options, and the arrange group. We have the formula tab, starting from insert the function to auto sum, recently used, which is very important, that we shall see also. When you don't want to be repeating functions that you have used recently, you just come to recently used, and you can see the recently used formulae over here, one of them being hyperlink that you have used. Then you have financial formulas that you can use. You can see they have all been grouped over here. If you want logical formulae, they are also here. Text formulae also are there, and we call this the function library, all the way from here to here. This is the function library, even having more functions if you want them. Do you want statistical, engineering, or any other functions that you want? Then we have the defined names, formula auditing, which we will also use, very important, because it helps you to understand whether the formula is okay and has picked as it should. Then there's the calculation group on the formulas tab. Of course, there's also the data tab over here. And the data tab is the one that is going to help you obtain data. You can obtain data from external sources, like the web, like from Access or from text. Many are times when you may have wanted to obtain data from an external source, and you're wondering, how can I obtain this data from external sources? So we shall delve into how can somebody obtain data from external sources using the get external data group from the data tab. Then we have sort and filter. We have the data tools like data validation, which is very important, that we are going also to look at. We have the forecast group over here, where you can learn about what if analysis and the forecast sheet. And this is also very important. Sorry, Damaris, I'm just rushing through, don't worry, because this just taking you through the Excel so that you can understand where what is. But you can always tell me when I'm too fast so that I cannot take you very fast. Like I've said, on the data tab, this is the tab. This is the tab where you can obtain data from external sources, like get external data. This is the tab from where you can sort and filter. data. This is where you can use data tools like data validation, which is a tool that can help you to validate your data, whether it is following the parameters that you have provided. And we shall also do that. It's where you can remove duplicates from data. And then you can also do forecasting. Somebody has been asking about scenario analysis and sensitivity analysis or what if analysis. This is how you can do it over here. You can also group or ungroup your cells and data. Yes. Roland, how are you?
I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
For medication to boost their immunity or treat symptoms.
I can see you've indicated too fast. Sorry for that.
Yeah, you're too fast.
Oh, sorry for that. Anything that I may repeat? Though I've said, today we were just doing an introduction to take you through, you understand a number of things on Excel. So that when we begin now, you have understood.
An assumption that the product that is taking care of COVID will get an upset that doesn't last long. Some pharmacies now incorporating.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. Anything that I can maybe repeat that you've not understood?
Actually, quite a lot, huh?
Okay.
I think it's better we'll pick it up from the next lesson.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, so this lesson was basically to take you through the Excel itself, how it looks like, such that once we have taken you through, once you are taken through how the Excel looks like you've said, it's made up of tabs, from the File tab to Home tab, Insert tab, Page layout, Formula, Data, Review. There's a View tab, Developer, QuickBooks, and many other tabs. And each of these tabs has got ribbons that end up to have what we call the groups. Then now that's where you can understand how do I go about something. If I wanted to insert, for example, a picture, where do I go? I go to Insert tab. And once I go to Insert tab, I'll insert pictures. If I want anything that is usually used by many people, I go to the Home tab, because the Home tab is the one that has the frequently or the commonly used tools in Excel, be it coloring, like coloring your data. Like if I want to color this yellow, that's the background color, or I want to have this one to have its font color as red. Be it alignment, whereby you want something to go to the left or to the right, or you want it to be at the center. Be it numbers, whereby I want maybe this one, you can see it's general, and I would want it to be number. I can highlight the whole of it and say I want it to be number instead of general, so that I can make sure it is in the format that I want it to be. Is it conditional formatting I want to do? I'll come here and do conditional formatting, and I'll show you how conditional formatting is done also. And then what about editing? Do I want to clear something? Like, do I want to clear all formats in this? Or do I want to clear all? So if I want to clear all data in this, whatever I've highlighted, it will clear. Even if I highlighted the whole of this worksheet and said I wanted to clear everything there, I can just come here and say clear all. And you can see it has cleared everything that is in my worksheet. But I can undo that. Now, if I want to sort and filter my data, I can come here and say I want to sort and filter. And you can see, once I've done that, it automatically gives me some arrows over there. And these arrows, we are calling them now the filter arrows, that I can click on and filter my data as I want it to be filtered. And these are all things that you're going to learn in our future discussions, because this one, as I said, was just an introduction, a rush through or a run through to take you through at least an understanding of where do I find this? How is Excel looking like? And then we can then begin from that. So something else very important is that once you've understood all these tabs, you can then now be able, or you are able now to work with your data with ease and as fast as you can, or you can increase your speed, because at the end of the day, you want to increase your accuracy as well as your speed in terms of how you work with the data. And to do that, you must understand how the Excel is arranged. Aha, Galaxy, yours has developer and QuickBooks. It's only that mine, I have customized. If you remember where we went to customize ribbon, it's me who has customized it, because there are some areas where I do some developing of some data. So it's not a must that it be there. Mine has it because I have customized it. So don't worry about that. And then review now is where anybody who is reviewing your data can make maybe comments. Like if I'm reviewing this data, I can say I want to make a new comment. Maybe I want to make a new comment over there. It is running. Let's see what it will give us. Let's see what it will do. Aha, I'm trying to insert comment, but it seems okay. So I can say I want to insert a new comment over here. And this is under the review tab. So under the review tab, it seems it is still running on the add new comment. Okay, we shall do that later because it can't hold as a hostage. So this is where you do the review. You can also do the view over here. And we shall see how you can do the view over here. Like say you have some data that is running all the way down up to here, such that when you scroll down, you can't see the headers. The data that you have probably is, let's say it has the name. Your data has I think it's hanging random. Okay. So assuming that your data, you want to deal with it like make your workbook views easier. You want to increase the size of that workbook. You'd want to enter macros in your workbook. I hope you've heard of this about macros. So you can add your macros over here. Then maybe you also want to see the headers. Sometimes you run your worksheet down and you have to go back to see whether you are still viewing what you wanted to view on column G, for example, or column C. Is it the name or the data that you are looking at? So what you do here is you freeze panes. Once you freeze panes and the Windows or the window group, you can view your data and the headers will remain there even if you are on the 1000th row. You can still see whether your data or the data that you're looking at is what you want, because you have freezed the panes in terms of, for example, the headers or the first row, which contains maybe the name, ID number, or registration number, the class, and so forth. So this is then how you can deal with Excel. I think this should be the end of our introductory lesson, only that I want to invite you to make a comment, ask a question. Somebody, you can unmute yourself, make a comment, ask a question, make a clarification that you want us to make, and then we can respond to that, even as we wind up.
Madam,
Oh, yes?
I have a question.
Oh, yes?
Is it possible as we go forward,
Yes.
maybe you share the notes later after class? Maybe.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Somebody else? Yeah, so this was just an introductory lesson to bring you up to speed. And as we said, it's important if you try to upgrade your Excel to Excel 2016 and over. But if it is not possible, still we can use the workbook that you have, and that will still work, because let me claim host first. Yeah, because then once you've done that, it will be okay for us, because this was setting ground to understand what Excel is all about and how are we really going to, moving forward, carry out this exercise. Aha, Tina, I can see you said already you are saturated. Pamela, thanks for the good introduction. I have learned a lot. Thank you, Pamela. Janet, please share the notes. And repeat again. Thank you. You're saying I'm too fast. Yeah, sorry. I will make sure my pace is not that fast. It was a good start. Thank you from Paris. Somebody saying, is it possible to get the outline? Yes, we shall share the outline. Wycliffe, that was a great for the start. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, good people. I'm also grateful for having joined this class. I hope you will enjoy, and it will be an interactive class. And by the end of it, you would have become better and ardent and competent in dealing with Excel. So I can see Janet, you said thanks again, Malimu. Omweno, skeptical on how to use Excel to analyze external data, for example, duplicate invoices of ABC company. We shall see that. Sheila, thanks, Mwalimu. It was a good start. Thanks, good start from Kengaya. Samuel, it was a great, and I'm looking forward to learning more. Thanks, the class was great. From Tina Mwaura. Roland wants to know if we will revisit QuickBooks. Okay, we shall, Roland. So thank you again, good people, and have a blessed evening. See you on Tuesday.
Good night.
Okay, good night.
Bye. Good night.